I'm particularly concerned about the Wynyard Quarter and the Wynyard Point. Now, just because public concern has gone away in the meantime because of your recent good work, that doesn't mean to say it won't be back. And it needs to be remembered that Queen's Wharf and Wynyard Point were two bookends of a visionary development. The waterfront plan was excellent because it was something that was publicly notified and was well supported by the public, and the public input was respected and included in the final plan. What is happening now with this seeming plethora of groups, not the real general open public consultation about waterfront matters. And I think we need to get back to one agency like yours leading this, and also properly consulting with the people of Auckland on this very important area. That's not to say the other areas aren't important, and my concern during this CCO reform was to have another specific agency focused on developing other parts of Auckland. But leaving that aside, my question really is...
we were that'd be good.
Waiting for it.
Okay,
a little bit of corporate memory, Madam Chair. Look, my question is, what is being done about the headland park that was secured by Auckland City and the ARC for the people of Auckland? When will that come on stream, and what focus is that being given by Panuku?
Thank you, Councillor. Through the Chair, I guess just the assurance, a couple of things before I actually answer the question. Just want to assure councillors that when we brought the two organisations together, we were very careful in the way that we structured the business to ensure that the focus would remain on the waterfront, and recognising that we're only 10 years into a 30-40 year plan there. Second, just a comment, we actually have 3 waterfronts or harbours in Auckland, and 2 principal waterfronts. So moving our work around Onehunga and the Manukau Harbour, I think, is that's an important focus as well. And I guess, Councillor, I do agree with perhaps your sentiments that there will be a time in the new year when the port study is complete to refocus and think about how we move forward and move into the next phase of development on the Waitemata waterfront. In terms of just answering your specific question around headland public space, you will recall that on a number of occasions I've referred to, principally around discussions with long-term plan, we have a budget of around circa $1.5 million in budget for preparation work that's required for headland public space going through in the next 3 to 4 years. And there is a series of decision points coming up that will require us to engage with you next year on the look and feel nature of headland public space, specifically to do with some of the remediation agreements that we have with the oil companies, and the need to start to firm up on our development plans for that important public open space.
Okay.
Can I just make one more point?
Councillor, before we go on, remember this item is simply to endorse the 2 key areas. We are now ranging into a very long discussion about all the work of Panuku development. So if this is in connection with the 2 key areas, Manukau or Onehunga, then that's fine.
I'll thank you, Madam Chair. I take Mr Dalzell's point about we have 3 waterfronts, possibly more, but I can tell him that when I go out to meetings at Kumeu or Great Barrier, the waterfront they want to talk about is the main Auckland CBD waterfront. So just to make that point, thank you.
Okay. Councillor Brewer.
I haven't got a question, Madam Chair. I've just got some comments. Are we on to comments?
Yep, no, that's good. All good.
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to support the recommendations as they've been put. I certainly, I think this reflects on Panuku's first principles and modus operandi as we consulted on in the long-term plan, and as the public have been promised, as far as Panuku focusing on where it could make the greatest difference, where the private sector couldn't or wouldn't, at the same time also balancing where it had the most scope to make that difference with significant land holdings and or control. And then when you look at Manukau there, Auckland Council land ownership, 22.56 hectares over 30 sites. Panuku already involved in 4 key sites. Onehunga, several council-owned sites in this centre, including Park and Ride next to the station. Port land also to be added into the portfolio. So I certainly support that, and the emerging ones, and I think it's good that we've named them as well. I wanted to comment on the ones that haven't been mentioned, and I support them not being in the work program as well, Madam Chair, and that's Newmarket that I've raised previously in workshops, and it's acknowledged here that there are a few sites, council sites, of scale for redevelopment, and that, quote, there is high level of market interest and the market will generate the positive regeneration. So I think what we're seeing here from Panuku is the acknowledgement that they are not going in to regenerate all areas in Auckland where the market is in a position to do just that. So that is good to see, as is their decision to just put the brakes on any active work programming in and around the Eden Terrace area, the Mount Eden station, and I think that makes sense until we see the shape and scale and timing around the CRL appearing in and around that new station, which will be quite significant at Eden Terrace, given that the Newton station has been dropped. And so I'm pleased that that has also been put on the back burner until we can really see how kind of transport orientated development will look going ahead into the future. I also note finally, Madam Chair, that Hobsonville Point is there, and that is good, and Panuku holds 20 hectares, as we all know. We've signed up to the 14-6 split, and Panuku also acknowledged, Madam Chair, that there's a high level of market interest in this development site, and so my view exactly, a high level of market interest, particularly in the residential development, and so that is where it should stay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Councillor Fletcher.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. Mine was just a follow-on from the comments made by Councillor Clow relating to developer contributions, and it was in order to be helpful to point out that following the last Parks meeting there was an agreement that there needed to be a workshop on developer contributions with regards open space acquisition, and that is being undertaken. I understand Mr Kimpton has been planned by Dean Kimpton, so I was just wanting to make sure that we didn't duplicate streams of work, and whether that could be incorporated into the work that could give comfort to councillors in and around developer contributions. And while I have a call, I'd just like to say that I do have the utmost confidence in John Dalziel and the team, and this seems to be a very comprehensive approach, and I support the recommendations.
Okay. So we're comfortable to make sure we join up any discussions on developer contribution and parks acquisition. Okay. Councillor Penrose.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. I'll be quick because none of it's been said, but I just want to also support the recommendations, but in particular welcome your comments in regards to the new year when we'll sit down and we'll go through a process in regards to the smaller town centres across the region, where we have significant land holding in those smaller town centres. I know Papakura, we struggle, we've got nothing there, and it's as a metropolitan town centre under the metropolitan centre under the UP, you're going to have some challenges going forward in the future to deal with that. And I know Manaroa, for argument's sake, it's one of the number ones at the top of the list for the work program. But on saying that, I also welcome it. It's a bit like the work program that we just signed up beforehand in regards to the Manukau bus interchange and what that's going to deliver to the southern area, the eastern area of the south, and how it's going to transform public transport for the future, you know, generations. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
Thank you, Councillor. I've got Councillor Wood, Crum, Stewart, Darby, and then hopefully we will move to the recommendations. Councillor Wood.
Oh, mine will be quick as well. I mean, I think this has been well workshopped through with the Auckland Development Committee. I think there's been about 3 or 4 workshops, so there's been good heads up as to what Panuku Development Auckland were intending. I think it's a very ambitious work program, and you've got to be congratulated on the expeditious way in which you've got on and got this job done, because you've certainly covered a lot of ground since this it was signed off in the middle of the year. So congratulations for that. And you know, you have my full confidence, and I think the confidence of this committee, hopefully, that you know, you'll get on and get the job done. The area that I just want to pick up on is the dealing with the stakeholders and the communities. I think that's going to be very important, and that should include obviously the local boards, keeping them abreast of what's happening, keep them up to date, and so they're not blindsided. But at the moment, if you follow what you've been doing, I think it's gone along very well. And the Housing for Older Persons network across Auckland, I think it's agreed that there's a lot of work to be done there to modernise the product that the council's has, and also you know, make significant changes in relation, because I think the studio or the very small the units that we have just aren't up to scratch, and they're not the standards that I would like, and I don't think most councils would like that either. So to see that that's going to happen, and I think, you know, you've got some innovative new ways of approaching that, which is very good. So I agree with the transform locations, the Manukau Metro Centre and the Onehunga Town Centre and Port. I think they're 2 good locations, and you've done the work to decide on those, so that's excellent. And I'll be very interested to see how the unlocked locations move forward. So congratulations, well done. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Councillor Wood. Councillor Crum.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll too add my thanks to the team, to David and Fiona, for the initial qualitative and quantitative analysis. We've traversed this ground before as a committee, but it's been a very good process and a factual one just as well, because I have not 1 but 3 town centres in that top category by virtue of Tamaki redevelopment companies inclusion. So it's not mentioned here today, and I pick up your points, Madam Chair, that this is just about highlighting the 2 transform locations, Manukau and Onehunga. So if you'll indulge me, I'll just make a few comments about Onehunga. Of course, you would expect me to do so. In terms of criteria, the leveraging opportunity in Onehunga, yes. The commercial opportunities, yes. Quantum of council holdings, yes. Market attractiveness, definitely. But I'd like to highlight specifically community readiness and just say, heck yes. There's a fantastic group of, and the report mentions the word doability. There's a fantastic group of residents, stakeholders and community advocates that live by that word doability. And the report also mentions it's a historically strong borough. So in that vein, Onehungites have been waiting for this. They've been welcoming the advent of going to the next level. And if I might get your indulgence, Madam Chair, I'll just point out that there's one specific special person in the gallery today, and that's Alan Bray. You probably won't like me pointing him out, but he's a retiree who's on every single community committee you could possibly think of, from rail enthusiast to Scottish areas of the Onehunga Historical Society. He's fantastic. He and I have had many a conversation about taking rail to the wharf and then on to the airport. He's a particular advocate of that. Look, with the imminent purchase of the wharf, and as the report again outlines, that's the key. It'll be very visible advent. There'll be tourism, recreation. I look forward to joining all my colleagues for a glass of wine, listening to jazz on the Manukau Harbour, and I will look forward to that high-level project plan in April. And I'll just end on this note, with all the best intentions, Councillor Lee. I was going to say move aside, but I'll say move alongside Waitemata, because it is Manukau's turn.